Hello, SC Whitmore students. This is Mr. Cannon, and I want to go over some test-taking strategies with you today. It really doesn't matter if you're taking any standardized test. It could be the SAT, the ACT, WIN, the ASVAB, or the EOC exams. These test-taking strategies are going to help you with any of those exams because all of those exams have multiple choice questions, and they're written very similarly. So what I want to do is talk about some strategies you can use to take those multiple choice tests. So one thing you want to ask yourself as you take these tests and you read a question and you look at the answers, what if more than one answer seems correct? And that's going to be the case many times, is that more than one answer is going to seem correct. It's not just going to be so clear. Sometimes it's clear that this answer is correct, but a lot of times you're going to have more than one that does seem correct. The first thing you want to do in those situations is make sure the answer you're considering fully addresses the question. Some of the choices you get may partially address the question, or it may partially answer the question, but it doesn't answer the entire question, or it doesn't apply to the entire question. In those cases, you want to throw those answers out and look for an answer that better fully addresses the question. So when you do that, if you've got it and you're like, both of these seem to fully address the question, and you're still stuck between two answers, then what I want you to do is I want you to imagine both answers as the answer to the question. Imagine both of them. When you do that, when you visualize and imagine, does one of the answers seem like it's wrong? It just seems wrong. Or maybe one of them just seems like it's right. It just feels right. In that case, I want you to trust your gut and go with what you feel. So if you feel like this one's wrong, go with the other one. If you feel like one is correct, then go with that one. It's not really as much about feelings as it is about how our brain operates, but a lot of times those gut feelings come from our brain. And they're actually telling us that we actually know this information, even though we don't know that we know it. So in those cases where you really are truly stuck between two answers and both seem to address the question fully, then you want to go with your gut if your gut is telling you something. Other strategies for taking multiple choice questions, or answering multiple choice questions, is to look for clue words and numbers. And when you do that, you want to look and see, are there two answers that are completely opposite of one another? If that's the case, one of them is probably correct. If you can figure out which one is definitely not correct, then the other one probably is correct. It's not always the case. Again, these strategies aren't 100% of the time, but a lot of the times these are general things. So generally, if you have two answers that are completely opposite, one of them is correct. Answers that have the words never, always, all, or must are usually not correct. That's because there are very few things in life that are never, always, all, or must. There are some things, but very few. So if you see those words, generally that's not an answer. However, answers with the words seldom, generally, tend to, probably, or usually, those are more often correct. So when you see never, always, or all, you can throw those out usually. If you see answers with seldom, generally, tend to, probably, or usually, you want to pay more attention to those. Those are more often than not correct. And then look for grammatical clues. So questions and answers will always have verbs and nouns that agree. They won't be grammatically incorrect, in other words. And often they'll use the same verb tense. So if you see something where there's an answer and the noun and the verb don't agree with each other between the question and the answer, generally that's not going to be the answer. Also things like a and right after and will come a vowel. After a will come a consonant. Now that's not always helpful on some of these tests. Could be. So look for those grammatical clues. A lot of times you're not going to be able to tell stuff from grammar, but if you can, then use them, especially to eliminate answers. If there's something where the grammar doesn't add up between the two, then throw that answer out. I hope these strategies are helpful to you. We're going to be giving you other strategies along the way as well, but these are things to look for, especially when you're taking multiple choice questions and answering multiple choice questions. Good luck to you. I know you're going to do great, and go get them.